Kryptonana, exit liquidity hold. Kryptonana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity hold. Kryptonana, dump it all.
Kryptonana, exit liquidity.
Dump it all.
Hadonana, dump it all. From the day we arrive on the blockchain and blinking step into the trade, there's more to lose than can never be won, more to dump than can never be saved. Influencers, tweets, and the noobs all follow, buying high, selling low at a game. But the boomers know, and Sailor, he knows that the dump is coming. It's all the same. It's the circle of exit liquidity, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and FOMO, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of exit liquidity. Some of us fall by the wayside, and some of us soar to the stars. But the influencers always win with the Lambos and their cars. So beware of the pump and the inevitable dump, for the cycle continues and the news get wrecked. Kryptonana, exit liquidity hot. Kryptonana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity hot. Kryptonana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity. Dump it all. Hadonana, dump it all. It's the circle of exit liquidity, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and FOMO, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of exit liquidity.
So hey everyone, happy Friday. How's it going, everyone? We're gonna do the official intro in just a second, but yeah, we were chatting about like DAO dynamics and stuff off air, and that kind of reminds me of when Bitcoin had its hijacking, which anyone who's involved in this, let me switch the camera a little bit. Anyone who's involved in this thing knows a little bit more about. I thought, on-chain governance is the way to go. You need a DAO. You need a self-funding DAO, and that's what will save it from, hijacking. I still believe that. But last 4 or 5 years, I've sort of started to see that anything where people vote on budget proposals and everything's through a voting mechanism, like a board of some kind, it's not the most efficient thing in the world. The free market is. So I've been trying to mentally model, like, because there's a Dash model for the most part. I mean, other DAOs too, and then there's like the Bitcoin Cash model, which is just all sort of grassroots. I think the Dash model is better, but I kind of think that the best thing is to have like a amalgam of both together, kind of. And I've been workshopping this mentally. I'm gonna write an article about it. I don't know if. Oh, look at the kitty cat. Oh, I left my door strategically open so we can have some visitors, just in case. But yeah, I mean, do you have any like off the cuff thoughts or any? I mean, I'm sure you've come from the hijacking Bitcoin kind of background, but then have observed a lot in the space, like a bunch of different communities doing a bunch of different things. Zcash having a kind of more corporate type structure where everything funded from the block reward, but then recently almost nothing is, like a bunch of independent orgs are. And like Ruben of Firo, he's not a big believer in DAO. I don't think Masternode should vote. And you hear him say stuff like that. So like, I don't know. Do you have any quick thoughts on the whole crypto governance versus free market, whatever?
I come from the Bitcoin Cash world, right?
Yeah.
And they obviously had this debate, and there was a split, of course, when Amari and Vin Armani and that crowd split off, and they formed, their own chain, and that had a sort of treasury behind it. So I think there are pluses and minuses to it. I do think that the financial infrastructure should kind of come from the grassroots, but having a DAO doesn't necessarily preclude that from happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it dissuades, or it could potentially dissuade people from saying, hey, I'm going to go make this service. They might just say, hey, I'm going to, petition the DAO for this service. That's the only really drawback I think there is, honestly. But yeah, I do think the infrastructure should be grassroots. Like if you believe that there should be some financial service, and by the way, look, that is happening with Dash, right? Look at like, for example, ZBEC, right? Look at ZBEC. ZBEC, one of the first coins that they actually support on their super app is Dash, and the proof is in the pudding. I think that as long as it works, then these infrastructure providers will be drawn to it.
Yeah. There's the other thing that I've struggled with and finally come to some like the conclusion. It's just like, I'm fat. How do I not get fat? It's like, well, you got to stop eating like a fat pig and you got to work out. God damn it. Is there another solution? Like that's kind of like where I've been looking for another solution. I think a lot of people in crypto, because we get to design these systems from ground up, I think we can design a perfect system that'll work. I think we can design the best we can. The sad conclusion I've come to is you cannot design a system that will just work. You have to actually, it's like a republic if you can keep it, right? You have to actually work at building like a culture around using it, make sure there's entrepreneurs in the space. Like you have to do a bunch of stuff that the protocol doesn't just, the incentive alignment doesn't take care of everything. You have to like actively build stuff on this, and you never can just be like, no, just it's perfect. It's gonna just run. So, yeah, I mean that's a sad conclusion because it's more work for people like me,
Right. I mean, at the same time, though, I do think that yeah, like it does require attention and input, but at the same time, I think that people are naturally drawn to these sort of to digital cash. People want it because there's a natural demand for it in order to avoid state censorship. Menger said when you read Origins of Money and stuff, money has to, any commodity that becomes money must have some sort of non-monetary utility prior to actually being money. So in other words, there has to be some sort of, everyone has to want this commodity for some reason other than money. And because everyone wants it, it can start to be used as cash. And I think, I personally can vouch for myself. I don't want the government to know any expense that I have. So I don't trust these people. I also don't want to fund their wars and shit like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
I am naturally drawn to something like peer-to-peer cash, and unfortunately, a lot of them just don't work as well anymore. And of course, the dynamics have changed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
nowadays privacy coins are more in vogue than they were, 10 years ago or 12 years ago. But I think that's, a good thing. But the point is, what traits or characteristics people will demand of it might change, but the winning, what coin serves that best will always be at the top, regardless, and that's going to draw builders, developers, coders, users, content creators, influencers,
Mm-hmm.
podcasters.
Yeah, that's something also that like I think that this is also the elephant in the room that people don't really want to admit. Um, is that most crypto is just going broke? Like people, there, it isn't paying the blockchain bills. It isn't working as a business. Once it does, I think that does tell a lot of people things. But yeah, I think that there are like something I learned. Like I learned some of the best lessons you can learn from government sometimes, and because a lot of like for like anarchists like ourselves, right? We think a lot of times we just think government bad, free market good, and that is for sure true. Uh, Government isn't one thing all the time the exact same way. So, for example, where there have been school choice legislation that's been implemented, you've seen way better outcomes for things like open enrollment. Like, so right now in the U.S., for non-U.S. people, explain how it works. You're assigned a government school district, and you just got to go there. And if the schools suck, that's it. And a lot of people will buy very expensive houses to be in a good school district, which is crazy to me. But if you have, for example, some like an open enrollment setup, then you can if you live in a state, you can send your kid to whichever government school you want in the state. Now, it's still government school. It's still socialist as crap. But that little bit of competition, that free market competition in the completely not free market, just makes outcomes better at all the schools across the board. So, all that to say, I think there's ways you can tweak DAO mechanics to where there's some extra, like tweak the game to where you get better outcomes, even though you still have to work hard and build good stuff. Like one of these things I thought of is only do full DAO payouts if it's a very overwhelmingly positive vote. Like if 2/3 majority, if you get like a super majority or something, then it just pays from the DAO. But if it's like a razor thin one, then only the people who voted for it like pay for it or something like that. Like find some way to make it a little bit more. You have to put your own capital at risk. I also think that voting for or against proposals should cost money. And I haven't thought of this too deeply, so I could be completely wrong. But off the top of my head, I think, let's just say, imagine if you wanted to vote to fund a proposal, to give out the free money, you have to pay like 2 Dash, let's say. Just throw it, if you're imagining Dash. And so then if you want to vote against it, that's 1 Dash. You still have to pay, but it's less because you're voting to not spend, which is always a good thing. So I don't know. I think that could
I like the incentive structure there.
that could make things weird because there is some. I think in the Dash model in particular, in the Dash, the way it's worked out, there's been almost no cases, broadly speaking, of masternode holders voting themselves free money because there's enough other ones that will be like, figure it out and fuck you, like veto it kind of thing.
It would never pass.
But I've heard rumor of stuff like this starting to happen in Zcash, where there's some people who are like whales that are like, oh, I'm gonna do a thing. I'm gonna get a retroactive grant, and that is distributed by coin holder voting. And I think I have enough coins to make sure that I win the vote. So there's some rumors again.
Oh wow, a retroactive grant.
Yes. So which
That's deep shit.
there's some like interesting. There's always this stuff going on. It's really fascinating to me. I'm sure you as well as like a student of like government and its evil ways and stuff. All this stuff has got to be fascinating as it's sort of adjacent. But yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see how this works out.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'll take all of the Dow drama, all of that over, blowing up schools full of children, paying Nancy Pelosi's, yacht bill and stuff like that. So the problems in the cryptocurrency space pale in comparison to the problems in the fiat currency space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let us officially run the intro and then get started. We got some fun stuff to talk about. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So, hey everyone, officially now, welcome to the Digital Cash Rundown, episode 232. I'm joined by the one and only Sal, the Agorist, also known as Sally Mayweather, also known as the guy who doesn't look like his profile pic. How's it going, man?
What's up, bro? It's just the lighting in here. I look more light-skinned than usual.
Yeah, you just used to being in the dark. You know what would be really funny? Is if you like grew out just a little bit of facial hair and then put on like an afro wig and had like a scout and like dark lighting and just you should be yourself for Halloween.
Nice, I like that. That's a good idea.
Just don't do the Trudeau. That's the step.
Maybe I'll throw it to Common Sense dressed up like Mac Dre the rapper.
Yeah. Again, just don't do the Trudeau stuff. You can get in trouble for that.
Especially in Europe, yeah.
Yes. But so I think you were on last 10 episodes ago because I found the old thumbnail for, like, to be honest, I put the old thumbnail into AI and just said change this and that and add this, and it just boom. So my graphic design work is like way better now. But yeah, so I had to figure out when was the last time you were on the show so I could get it like the same like little thumbnail and everything. And that was 10 episodes ago, which is like 4 months ago or something. So yeah, it's been a little while.
It has.
I had Vlad on last week, and he had been on Vlad Kostia, the Bitcoin Takeover podcast, and he had been on like a year prior. So I need to get him on more, but I had to do because he was doing his cold card victory lap because he's been a cold card hater for like 5 years and actually got like a lot of heat for it. And so then now that it's just like, I'm sure we're all sad that people lost money, but it's also just like, it's like when Sailor goes to zero, I'm gonna be insufferable. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna cry because I'm gonna see a couple people be like, I jumped off a building because this is me on the way down. They're gonna be posting on Reddit, and that's gonna suck. And I'm gonna go, oh man, this is terrible. Then I'm gonna just look at him on like Sailor disheveled on TV being like something. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm back in the game. Anyway, so generational hate run. But speaking of people getting wrecked and stuff, Trezor.
Yeah.
So let me just put their first announcement, and then you can give your take on it. So they said, we have some difficult news to share. Your mother and I are getting a divorce. No, unfortunately, one of our shipping providers has experienced a data breach that exposed sensitive order data. This affects new customers in the UKS, man, I'm all over the place. US, UK, Sweden, Colombia, Brazil, Italy, and Portugal, who received an order within the last 90 days prior to August 8th, 2026. The data exposed full names, shipping address, phone numbers, email address. It affected 11,742 customers with full exposure. And another almost 2K with limited exposure. So, data breach of people they shipped to, last 3 months customers, and they got doxxed. So, let me know what you think about that.
Well, I mean, look, the good news is that Trezor, their hardware devices, they themselves were not hacked. This was a fulfillment partner. Your device remains secure otherwise. Your private keys are secure, but you're right. It's this Chipmunk fulfillment provider that Trezor works with, and it's it does affect a large swath of people. It's like almost 12,000 customers whose data was exposed. But the danger here is targeted attacks, right? Because your private keys are secure. If your data, was exposed, someone knows that you have a Trezor hardware wallet. They know who you are and where you live. That's the danger. So they probably have your email address and whatever other information you gave to Shipmonk when you made this purchase. So, there's going to be targeted phishing attacks. You're going to expect some weird emails, click here and shit like that. Also, the most scary thing, of course, is the wrench attack, right? Where someone says, John Smith has, got I know that you have this hardware wallet, and I know, they can sort of correlate with other information that they have on you that you might be wealthy, and then they follow you and they try to force your hand. And that is why I think, something like duress mode really goes a long way here. And everybody, especially guys like you and I, Joel, who are like going from one conference to another, we live off cryptocurrency. We need to have some sort of security measure in place. And I think that's probably the go-to here. But,
well, that reminds me of the duress mode. Reminds me of a few things. First of all, it reminds me of the Graphene OS case. I don't know if you heard about that, where some activist got detained at the Atlanta airport, and he did duress mode, and he gave him the wrong pin, and it just nuked the device, and then they're like charging him with destruction of evidence or something, which I don't know. It's absurd. I don't know if it's going to hold. What I would have, like, I don't know. I don't want to like victim blame here, obviously, because it's, from what I understand, this is a person who did nothing wrong. I wonder if there's a more strategic way of doing that, like hitting the pin yourself real quick before handing the phone, so they don't see it, and they're just like, no, this is not my, like, this is my phone. It wipes out if I don't have, if I don't log in every so often. You detain me too long, it wipes. Sorry, here you go. Or like just whatever, and then they see, oh, it's wiped. I think you wiped it, but you can't prove when. There's no, like, they hit the pin and it made stuff, and they could say, oh, you wiped it right here. I wonder if you could not prove that it was wiped right then, because it could have been like, you could have just been like, look, I know there's a problem going through security. I wiped my phone before I went through. But anyways, I don't want to victim. This is just my brain thinking of what would I do in this situation.
You're right. I'm sure there was a more strategic way to handle it, but who knows the exact circumstances that this individual was in. The real trouble here is, why are they trying to go through your phone in the first place? And how can they count something as destroying evidence when you haven't been charged with a crime? Who are these people? Who do they think they are? You know what I mean? So, thank God for duress mode, though, and of course that was a state actor, right? That you have to use duress mode again,
because it worked. It worked. Right. It's just that they try to come after him later, which has nothing to do with duress mode. The point is, if this had been a non-state actor, somehow the state actors are always the biggest thugs in the room, but like the non-state actor would have, I don't know if they would have cut off his finger or something anyway, just to spite him, but the point is they would have like had nothing to get. And you're better off getting jacked up on the street by some random thug than you are, who going through customs nowadays. That's the sad reality that we live in. Well, that's the other thing. Crypto self-custody is hard to, never mind. It's not actually that hard, but doing things like super safe requires some thinking. I remember someone said, hey, you should just do a brain wallet. Just memorize your seed phrase. And I'm just like, first of all, I don't know what kind of brains they were holding out back in your day, but in my day, they were hanging out the janky Tylenol brains, and like mine does not retain that information. Like I could never remember my seed phrase and be like, oh yeah, that's good. I can't do that. But also, if you know your seed phrase, that means you have access to all your money at all your times, which means if someone starts, twisting your nipples or whatever, be like, give me
Right.
give me your stuff.
Right, yeah.
You can tell them. But if you're, oh, it's at home somewhere, I don't know, or even if you tell them where it is at home, they still have to send someone to your house, and there might be like a guard dog or something, or it's not as much as like they can't just rob you on the spot. So I would not do a brain wallet, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I do think it's nice if you can do that, and there are some really creative ways that people have stored their cryptocurrencies. But I don't know if you just saw this. I think Edge Wallet posted this. Or I'm sorry, they quote tweeted Jameson Lopp. I guess the French tax authority has been hacked. 678,000 records have been leaked. But again, this underscores that the true threat to your privacy, guys, is KYC. KYC is the illicit activity. No other time on earth would you just hand over your personal information to anyone, except when the government makes you do it. So, but again, like, not to sort of veer off topic, but we were talking about Trezor and how duress mode can work for that, and I think it works in this case as well. But yeah.
It's rough. Like, the thing about the Trezor thing, the bigger the first one is, as the first piece of that, I guess, as I pointed out, let me show you here. I just said, do not have hardware wallets shipped to your home address. They're basically a honeypot's waited to get exploited. And so the thing with that is, first of all, don't get them shipped at home. If you are a hardware wallet user, go out and go to, like, for example, I bought some at conferences before where there's like the official teams there, they're selling them there. I'll get some there and go. They don't need to know my name, where I'm from, anything like that. And then so if they get a data hack, they don't have my data. So that's the biggest one. Also, as far as I know, Tangem wallets are in Best Buy right now. So I think Tangem has got to be one of the most widely available, wallets. The thing is, like, I hate to say it like this, but like, what if you bought it on Amazon, where they would have to hack Amazon, which I'm sure it happens, but then they just know, oh wow, this guy was an Amazon customer. Well, we learned something about this. But like, they'd have to go through your order history and see if you ordered any crypto device. They'd have to have a lot more data than just basic customer data, and then you're a little bit more safe. But then
you're so right, because Amazon orders weren't affected by this data breach at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to say it that way, but you're right, and I agree with you. I think the best way to do it is to just do it in person. That's why I got my Tangem wallet and my Trezor wallet. I got both of them in person.
Now, the real solution to all this, I guess, is, first of all, if we get enough mass adoption to where everyone has one, and you're like, oh yeah, you bought one. It's like, no one's a honeypot if everyone's a honeypot, right? Hiding in the crowd.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Finish on that.
No, I was gonna say something that you're not gonna like, honestly, because
that's fine. Go for it.
A great. Oh, I am, of course.
Oh, is it something serpentine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get where we're going with this. That's fine. No, go for it. I'm not a hater. Promise.
So a great way to get around this the whole problem of having to provide your shipping address to a hardware wallet fulfillment provider, like Chipmunk in this case, is to just use Cupcake by Cake Wallet. So you take an old phone, right? Next time you upgrade your phone, which I'm about to do, I should do it before Common Sense. And you take this, you take your old phone,
and you Google Pixel Graphene OS.
I might. But yeah, so you take your old phone, you download Cupcake on it, you send your funds there, and you put your phone in airplane mode, you turn it off, and you stick it in your safe, put it in your mattress, whatever you got to do. And then that connects with your Cake wallet, and you can just load funds. You can just send funds to that to that address, and eventually, when you turn your phone on, it'll repopulate, resync.
Yeah. How does it connect to between devices?
I think it's like I don't know if it's Bluetooth or what it is, but it does it somehow it connects from your to your Cake wallet. But I think it's only like obviously you like turn it off, you put it on airplane mode, and then it doesn't really resync until you turn it back on.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, you know, which by the way, if Cakewalk wants to sponsor the show, I don't have a sponsor right now. And while I can be petty, I'm also a whore, so like, go for it. But the point is, I think that I forget who said this, but phones are some of the best, most secure devices we have. Like computers they're not locked down at all. And so I mean I always use Linux anyway, just because I don't want weird fishy stuff in the system that I don't have direct control over, permissioning over. But phones are pretty locked down as far as like what can they do, what can they be made to do, etc. And so I think that like a phone wallet is of any kind is actually way more secure than most people would want to admit, like as far as malware and things like that. What's not secure about it is people getting access to it, grabbing it. But also, so I think that's one of the reasons I am a big, again, Graphene doesn't sponsor anyone as far as I know. I mean, if so, I would take $4 a month to show them. Or I'd do it for free. I don't care, because I'm a big fan. There's a lot of privacy OSs on phones, but first of all, Graphene works. It just not everything works. But also, it's like secure. It's not just it's not spying on you, but it's insecure. It's like super secure. So as far as I don't know the ins and outs of what Cupcake does as far as security or how that works on just any old phone, but I think if you want to be really like secure, you get an old Pixel of some kind, and then you put Cupcake on that, and then keep it offline. And that's old Pixel, put Graphene OS, Cupcake there.
Yeah, and then you would completely go around the problem of having to provide anybody with your shipping information. Again, I scored a Trezor at the BTC Vegas conference when I was hanging out with the team. And same thing with the Tangent wallet. I got a Tangent wallet with like Quai on it at the Vegas conference. So
I got one too, but Shimmy from Edge stole it. Or rather, she graciously held my stuff for me. And nice. Then when she gave me back whatever else, she just forgot that was one of the things that I had gotten from the Quiet people. But so nice. I did buy a Tangent that was like a Bitcoin Pizza Day one, and I did keep that one and gave it to a friend. So anyway, but yeah, the thing about that is I think that that segues very nicely into, man, I line these things up good. This next post about this, I said, I actually think we're seeing the beginning of the end of hardware wallets as we know it. In the future, people will use more general purpose 2FA devices to secure their stack. Yeah, go ahead on that.
It works better. It just works better, man. Not only that, because it's also more convenient. Don't remember, like, the Michael Saylors of the world and those kind of people, like, they probably will keep using hardware wallets. You know how like the Winklevoss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, they're going to use Coinbase custody.
Yeah, right. Well, okay. So the Coinbase guys, the Winklevoss ones, they're using hardware wallets, I would imagine, for their major vaults, right?
Actually, so from my understanding, they're all using something like Fireblocks, which is a multi-party computation thing where, in order to sign a key, you need your company, a couple of signatures, and Fireblocks, who I'm sure KYC'd with, or whatever you do that you pay, will turn the other key. So, like, if your keys get stolen, you can't do anything without them. So, like, almost all the industrial grade, institutional grade, which I hate that term, but it is, the institutional grade, like, custody stuff, all uses them like a multi-party computation thing, similar to what like Thorchain does to secure its vaults, kind of thing.
Gotcha. So like I think it's the book Bitcoin Billionaires by Ben Mesrich. I'm pretty sure that's the book. I don't know if you've read it, but it's actually a really good book. It's the same guy who did The Social Network and stuff like that. And I think one of the things he says in the book, it's been a while, so I could be misquoting him here, but he says something along the lines of like the Coinbase guys had like, pieces of their seed phrase in different vaults all around the country, so that if a attack happened, if the southeastern United States got nuked tomorrow, there would still be ways to recover their seed phrase and stuff like that. I don't know. It was very interesting, but I think some people are going to be continue to use the hardware wallets, but I do think that it's better to use like something like a mobile wallet app, like
Yeah.
Edge or like Cake or like the Dash Pay wallet or whatever wallet, as long as it's self custodial. Excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
but because first of all, for security measures,
Mm-hmm.
but also because it's easier to use and to spend. Right? How could you can't use your crypto if you have it, tucked away in a hardware wallet. And yeah, of course, people take their dollars and they shove them in the safe or something like that, and it's totally fine. But you want to be able to use it.
Yeah, that's by the way, like the whole live it on crypto shtick that I've been kind of doing and stuff. There are plenty of people that do it, but there's more importantly, there's plenty of people who don't. And like when you hang out with people at conferences, you have these people that talk a big game, and then you're like, hey, why don't you try this out? First off, there's so many people that don't have a phone wallet, that don't have a mobile wallet. And I'm like, well, then you're not in the game at all. Sorry.
Really?
You just, yeah.
At a crypto conference?
Yes, there's a lot of like, oh, I'm like people that talk a big game about cypherpunk stuff, but then they don't have a mobile wallet, so they can literally have to be on their computer to access crypto. So they're not real. Then there's other people that have mobile wallets, but then when they go to use it, you could tell they've never used it really because they're not familiar with it. Whereas
Right.
like the Bitcoin conference of last year, not this year, when they were doing the whole steak and shake type thing, or we went to the one place in town that the one steak and shake location that accepted Lightning. And I mean, obviously I'm not a big Lightning guy, but I know how to use crypto. So I had like when it came time to pay with Bitcoin, like I had my phone with the wallet app open with the camera on for the QR code scanner, like at my hip. It's like then it's just kind of whip it out, and it just went boom and just paid. And then the guy was like, "That's the smoothest it's ever gone for anyone here." And I'm like, "No shit," because I know I've done this before. I know how to use this stuff. I know what you have to be ready for. It's just like, can you imagine being imagine some lady going to pay with like her bank card with like tap and pay with the phone, and imagine if she's like, she goes to pay, they give her the total, and then she starts digging around in her purse for the phone. It's
Right.
like, that's someone who's not used to this. Like, but then when you see one of these kids, they got it in the hand. It's like, then they just hit the button, go beep, and then they're ready. So
We are
there's a lot of
beyond
people
you.
that aren't ready,
Yeah, right. No, you're 100% right. You have to use these things to find out, which things work best for you, and you just have different avenues to do something, especially if you're going to make the sort of commitment like to live off of crypto. You have to have different ways of doing different things. Try loading your ZBET card with the Dash app, with the Dash,
Mm-hmm.
mobile wallet. Try it with the Zano wallet. Try loading FUSD. Try it with Quai Network. Right, you can do it right through the Blip app now. Actually,
Yeah, it's built right in from what I haven't used Blip yet, but I've heard it's built right in.
it's built right in. It's actually very seamless. Um, Honestly, Dash is probably the easiest to use right now because you just go right to the super app. You just download the app, click on Dash, however much you want to load, and you just click open in wallet, and then boom, you can load the funds on directly there. It's actually lovely. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, right before we went on, I actually booked like all the remaining accommodations for me and my producer with Dash in Amsterdam. So I mean, that's how you win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the way to do it. And I have to say, like, I did hassle them over that UX because
Thank you.
uh, I want it to be instant to pay, but also like the actual top up to happen in real time. And I've had it where I'm like in line for like you could roll the dice and be like have nothing on your phone and be like, 2878, and you just do a 2878 load on your phone. But cards are always like weird anyway, where like sometimes they put a 20% hold over the amount if it's a restaurant just to leave room for tips. So there's always some weird, like, you can't even use a lot of these cards at a pump unless you have at least 200 on the balance or something, like at a gas pump. So, but the point is, you can just top it up when you're in line. You're just like, all right, I got $4 on this card. Coffee and a bagel and this other thing's gonna be like $28. Let me add, $30 on it really quick. You go beep, and then 30 seconds later you pay with it and you're good. And notice I always do this because I have it on the watch. I know most people don't do it on the watch, but yeah.
I usually, honestly, I just load it up with like, I don't know, $1,000, and there's my spending money for the month. You know what I mean? Like for however long, and then that's how I just tap everywhere I go. And you're right. It does, like, the cards are weird. They don't work everywhere, so you do kind of have to have a backup handy. Yeah, I don't know. Even like the gas station thing, like you can't pay at the pump, but you can pay inside. You can prepay inside.
Yeah. So basically all that to say, like, a lot of people don't use crypto, but it does. I think if you get used to using it, just like the weird ways people custody the keys to their bank account, whether it's their password, whether it's whatever 2FA they got, whether it's their government ID and their backup of their government ID and all that stuff. Like, people have our old custody things figured out for things, it's not for crypto, but they'll do it. This was a fun post here from Jason Williams, or Going Parabolic, is some Maxi dude, which I think it's satirical, but there are people that have this. He says, I lost my Bitcoin in Celsius, moved to Cold Card, lost my Bitcoin to the CoinKite entropy issue, moved my Bitcoin to Trezor, doxed my name, add a phone number, email, and home address. Now, currently in weapons training class and moving the family. Thanks for the education.
Right, yeah, right.
And so, which, by the way, this is a funny thing with Grok. I tried to talk to Grok about this and was just like, is this guy being satirical? They're like, no, he's being serious. The weapons training stuff sounds like it's being funny, but the rest, these really happened. I'm like, yeah, but did they happen to him? And they're like, yeah, I think they did because they really happened. And I'm like, but did you? Never mind. So it's still not quite there, but I did see someone literally say, I bought a Trezor immediately after getting wrecked with a Cold Card, and I got leaked. This is terrible. And so I thought, I'm just going to find a popular post that says this. But yeah, it's been rough for as I posted also over here, just say, Bitcoiners have had a rough time lately. It's definitely not sunshine and rainbows for our Maxi friends now, is it?
No, it's not. And honestly, I'm not happy to see any of it go down. But and again, I had Vic on my show a few weeks ago, and he made an interesting point where, like, let it happen. Let all of these exploits, let AI show all of the holes in the framework. Because, the quicker they get exposed, the quicker they get fixed. And we'll also see, which products, which services, which cryptos are the most resilient and the most well built in the process. So we, as rough as these things are, these sort of growing pains, I do think they're kind of necessary. And then probably when we look back, we're going to say that was probably for the best.
I think so too. And I have to say, like, all the Maxi beloved companies are getting wrecked, sort of. The Cold Card thing was like an entropy issue where the device didn't generate random enough seed words so they were able to guess them. Now, the thing is, if you generate, because people are like, bitch of wallets you use suck. And I'm like, well, no, because, like, first of all, if you have like a mobile wallet, it uses the Android or iOS entropy generation on there, which is really solid, which is because this isn't the only thing your device does. Your phone does lots of stuff. It secures lots of things. And so the stuff to generate randomness is already in there because everything's encrypted, these days. At least a lot of things are. And so why would you outsource with some shitty calculator looking gross ass device that looks like a school project and that has crappy tech when you could just use your phone, which is a giant company that's mass producing these for tons of use cases, not just the one time you want to get wrecked and lose your 10 Bitcoin you sold a kidney for. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could rant on that forever. You got to hard out in like 7 minutes, right?
Yeah, we got a few minutes though.
Yeah, there's something else I want to touch on, which is you're kind of getting a little bit of an advance notice on this, like a teaser, because I'm going to do a post on this, but it's about Wallet of Satoshi. So I don't know if you heard of them. It's like the Maxi's favorite, whatever. So they posted something here where it says Wallet of Satoshi is going all in on self-custody. We've rebuilt Wallet of Satoshi so you hold your own Bitcoin and your own keys with the simple experience we've been known for. Wallet of Satoshi isn't going anywhere. It's becoming what we always want it to be. Here's what changes for you. And then their banner here says, now self-custody. Your keys, your sats. So they only have a seed. So here's what tipped me off. Because, again, I know I'm not an expert, but I know decently the inner workings of the Lightning Network. A lot more than 99.9% of Bitcoin maximalists. And they said, okay, well, all you need is your seed phrase. And I'm like, see, I know that's not true with Lightning. I know there's something else, because for Lightning, you need your seed phrase, but you also need a constantly updated channel state backup. Otherwise, you could just lose it all. So I'm like, how are they doing that? Because with Phoenix, you only need your seed phrase, but that's because they have an encrypted copy of your channel state, and when you put your seed phrase back in, they just like give it to you. But if Phoenix goes kaput and you haven't downloaded your own channel state thing, you can't get your Lightning funds back. So I'm like, are they doing it how Phoenix did? So I did some digging, and it is so much worse than I thought. First of all, your funds aren't in Lightning. Your funds are in Spark, which is some other bullshit L2 that they came out with. And Spark is a federation, like remember the Liquid network, except it's a federation of two entities. So there's two companies that get to decide that whether to process your transactions or not. And what happens when you pay with Lightning is you do an atomic swap to Lightning, as in you take your Spark funds and then they just send Lightning on your behalf. That's kind of how it works. And these two companies, right? They control how you do it. Now you can do like a unilateral exit, but you need like this channel state backup equivalent for Spark on you, which Wallet of Satoshi doesn't let you get. So if Wallet of Satoshi goes kaput and like Spark won't process your stuff, you can't get your money. That's not self-custody. They're lying to you. They're absolutely lying to you. And I dug into this just a little bit. I'm just like, it's always a scam with these maxis, isn't it? It's always some kind of a scam.
Lightning and self-custody are not the best of friends.
Yeah, it's tricky.
They are not the best of friends. And I'll tell you what, a lot more people are using this Spark. And I see it more and more often. And I guess for a lot of these wallets are using it. And for whatever reason, I guess it works better or more efficiently for them. I don't really know. I know that in Cake Wallet, so actually at BTC Vegas, I won $250 in like a raffle, and they paid me in Lightning, and I gave them my Cake Wallet address, and I have $250 sitting in my Cake Wallet under my Lightning address ever since.
Do you know what Cake uses?
I think it's Spark.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some digging in that too, because listen, here's the funny thing about Cake. They have a bunch of a few random haters on their tech and their wallet, saying that they're like scamming people and stuff. And I've had some brushes with Vic before, but whenever I look at these posts and I look at what they're saying, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't really see Cakes doing anything wrong. I think they're just... I think they're fine. I think you guys are just dumb haters. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, it's not open source reproducible, this and that. The builds aren't fully... And I think they are, except for, like, the custodial integrations. And then there's, like... They had something with, like... Oh, like the fully non-custodial, but then they use a custodial swap service like Exolix. And I'm like, yeah, so that's on them, but they could just not have that feature, and then you can't swap. Like, I'm like,
You could just
I
not
don't.
use that feature, you know.
Yeah, I'm just like, I like to be like a hater, but I can't because it's like there's nothing there. So again, I'm gonna
No,
look in.
honestly, though,
I gotta
like edge
look into their
edge
Lightning implementation and see if there's anything to hate on. I have a feeling the only thing that there will be there hate on is the fact that it's fucking Lightning. Other than that, it'll probably be like, yeah, it's fine.
honestly, I've used Lightning in the past, and like Steven Livera tried to get me to use like the Breeze wallet and stuff like that, and it was a nightmare. And I've got to be honest with you, Cake Wallet does make it a lot simpler. Now I don't know what's going on under the hood. I don't know how they're doing it or what implementation, what layer 2 they're using, but it is convenient and it does work pretty well. And the other thing too is now they have that radar chat, and that actually that uses Spark. So actually you can send funds. It's like Signal, but imagine you can send Lightning back and forth, and that actually
Wow.
does use Spark.
Yeah, I mean, so therefore, not even Lightning, I guess. I mean, I get it, but the thing is, my opinion on Cake the product, I think that Cake is going to get so much better the moment they all collectively give up on Bitcoin. Like every single BTC first feature type thing, I think they're doing their best. But it just sucks. Like it's like
They won Bitcoin Wallet of the Year, and honestly, like it totally makes sense. Like
yeah.
it really does though, because like
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's like the one major nation state with the fewest bombs dropped. It's just like, well, I mean, participation trophy. I'm just kidding. I'm a big
Honestly,
hater on
like-
the Bitcoin wallet stuff, but anyway.
So the way that I do it, full
Yes.
disclosure, the way that I do it is for Bitcoin BTC and Monero, I'm using
Mhm.
Cake Wallet for all of that. And like for all the other like privacy chains, like my Pirate Chain and Rune and stuff like that, all of those tokens I keep at Edge Wallet because they support such a huge variety of coins. And then I have like I always keep a chunk of change in Dash just because I could use it. It just works so well. And then I have the Campfire wallet for Firo, which, not to switch gears, but I don't know if you saw the Firo debacle that they recently.
Oh, I
had a
actually did not.
Oh, really? Yeah, there was like a vulnerability that they found and were able to patch before things got out of hand.
Okay, let me.
I did post about it recently.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up just like a quick thing. So
A vulnerability.
yeah,
sparked
security update.
multi-inputs.
Yeah, multi-input expense have been identified via responsible disclosure and mitigated. Unsafe. It's attempt for maximum privacy. Okay, let me just click the full details. I don't want to bore people too much, but basically what happened, acknowledged validity, and it allows an attacker to forge Spark coins in multi-input transactions. So it's like a inflation bug type thing. Single input transaction is not affected. So aside from a small controlled amount with a researcher to validate the finding, we found no evidence. Oh man, it's just so unfortunate. So it sounds like if you send a single transaction, you're fine. If you you could send a multi-output transaction, like you'd send to like multiple parties, and then you just money printer go burr on that. It's like, oh no. And the problem with the privacy protocol is that's really hard to detect sometimes. And unfortunately, like, people don't give Zcash enough respect for this. First of all, Zcash found an Orchard inflation bug and patched it before anyone else was able to do it. Like, super proactively, not a responsible disclosure.
That we know of.
Yes. Well, now, as far as I know, like, well, we'll anyway, there's so much nuance to that. But anyway, so they did that, and then to be super safe, and listen, this is my opinion, and I don't know, I can't know the truth 100%. I think Zuko did not approve of the level of disclosure when it was patched of like the risk, and he kind of made a little bit of a bigger deal about it, which ended up temporarily tanking the price and stuff and pissing off a lot of other people, of course. But I think I think that's what led to this whole Ironwood upgrade. I could be wrong. It could have already been planned before that, but again, the timelines, it's impossible to know. But the point is, Ironwood did two things. Well, it did one thing mainly, but then another thing came too. Ironwood patched the bug and put a new pool, so if everyone moves their money to Ironwood, then we can be sure there's that all that money is inflation resistant or whatever. It's fine. The other thing is something called a formal verification proof, which is a mathematical proof that proves that something cannot be exploited in the way it's done. It's like saying, it's like a check, right? Like, have you ever had one of those, like, say it's a Trezor or something, you put in seed words, I think it maybe a ledger, I don't know, but then you get a seed word checker where you check to see if they've been written down correctly, and it goes cling, and you're like, okay, good, because sometimes you write it down, you're like, good, I'm all backed up. If I lose my Trezor, I'm fine. But then you're like, did I back them up correctly? Did it work? And you have to, like, put it in, and it'll confirm. It's like that, basically, for the inflation bug. It basically says no undetectable inflation bug can exist in the protocol. And it was infeasible to do a giant mathematical proof like that by human hands alone. And it wasn't until AI came out that you could actually comfortably write like a giant proof that would actually apply to that. So now with the Zcash Ironwood pool, you can prove that it hasn't been exploited. And that's the thing, that these private cryptos, again, the ZK stuff just works so much better than like freaking mixing and stuff. That's been the one big like anxiety, and now we can fix it, is the point. And so I hope that when whatever happens with Fear of Spark, that once it gets fixed, I hope that they find a way to get a mathematical proof, what do they call it? Formal verification proof, to be able to prove that this hasn't been exploited. Because when you're like, oh, you could print some extra money accidentally, we fix it, but now there could be extra money floating around in there that wasn't approved, and that's just a scary thought. Anyway,
well, here at the end of this little blurb, it says, and I'll leave it here because I do have to run. It says the fix was developed and reviewed by the Firo core team along with the developers and cryptographers from CipherStack, and additionally reviewed by HashCloak. Blah 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 blah. So I don't know if that is a formal verification, but somebody double checked it. It seems like.
It seems like that was probably a verification that they patched the bug, but not that it hasn't been exploited, which I think they might need to do what Zcash did and have a Spark 2.0 pool that you move everyone to, and then you have to check and see if it can be exploited.
Right. I mean, the price hasn't moved too much. I'm looking on my Edge wallet,
because no one pays attention to, like, if. I think we'd be in a lot better place if the price moved, because that would mean that enough people are using and paying attention and actually understanding the tech that things would be doing well. Right. People just don't even notice or care.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, you're probably right. But
Well, fun stuff. Well, we're 7 minutes after the hour. I think that means you probably have to take off. Is there anything you want to shill on your way out?
So much. I don't know where to start.
You want to shill Cake Wallet?
Yes. You can send me funds at, I think it's Sal Mayweather at cake.cash.
I'm going to give them a freebie here. Throw them up on the screen. CakeWallet.com. Privacy made easy. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero. Of course, no Dash, but they'll get on board. Zcash too, though. That's not bad. Xano. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So I have a live stream every Wednesday, 7 to 9:30, 10, something like that. Sal and Mark, I do it with Mark Edge from Free Talk Live now. And it's a good time. Check it out if you're available on Wednesday evenings. It's a good time. Just grab a beer, a glass of wine, and hang out. And, we try to find practical solutions to the state. Other than that, I'll be in Amsterdam at Cypherpunk Week, and keep your eyes open. Some big announcements coming, but nothing more ready for public release yet. So.
Yep. DashCon September 3rd. That's the big one to go to. Common sense. You just stay for the rest of the party. It'll be good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for being on. This was a pleasure. Thanks for fighting for freedom. And
I can see the cat's tail. There he is.
Yes.
He or
Something
she.
about this kitty, as soon as I come in here to work, she's just all about it. She starts headbutting the bottom of my thigh like she really wants to snuggle. But when I'm out there, she doesn't care. So I think she just gets jealous that I have like a life. Isn't that right?
You're doing stuff without me? Come on.
Yeah, it's such a cat attitude. All right. See you guys around. I'll see you guys next week. And remember, taxation is theft. Never forget that. It's the most important thing.
Adam, we're here because we love you. And we're all tired of watching you get abused.
Abused? By who?
Oh, hi, I'm Visa. I charge you 29% interest, 3% foreign fees, and make you wait 3 days to see if your payment went through.
But I thought you were my friend.
No, Dash is your friend. Instant, private, under a penny, and with Dash Spend, you walk into over 100,000 stores and pay like a boss.
All ready? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. Feel alive, guys. This is awesome. Tastes like freedom. And I save 5% by using the app.
That's the Dash High, baby.
Let's go.
Download the mobile wallet, one tap, boom, financial sovereignty.